Hello?
Hey, still waiting.
Something seems to have happened.
Well, despite all the technical difficulties that we seem to we can't seem to evade, we're here. And
What a
yeah,
wonderful
so
evening.
yeah, it is. So this is Seen How Many, the last episode, which is the 6th episode, I guess. And I'm not sure. Maybe.
Seems to be
And
the
so
6th episode.
it seems to be. So we in this podcast series we went through the different like phases of filming of basically producing a short film, a fiction, and we started like way back from the ideation and all the preparation, finding the story, brainstorming, writing, and then the casting process, filming, editing. And so through 6 episodes, we've just gotten um, to the premiere event and the afterlife of a finished film, short film product, and what one can do with that. Yeah, today we're going to talk about this. But first, as always, so this podcast is, well, by the platform and by the community of Near-Balkan, a Hungarian initiative for mostly European filmmakers who are starting out in their 20s, 30s, still trying to find network, professional connections, funding for their movies, audience distribution, use a springboard to make a career for themselves in the industry. And so we a bunch of young, mostly university students, for now 2.5 years, have been developing this online platform for filmmakers where they can upload like idea phase movie scripts, log lines, synopsis, and they can compete for a prize money that is made up of premiere tickets bought for a competition, for the winner of a competition. So it's like a crowdfunding, but not really a crowdfunding, because we are helping to produce that movie, and we, as the site, we are helping you to make that happen. And we sell the premiere tickets for it, in pre-order, and then you have like 12 months to finish the movie, and then we project and show the movie that we managed to make with you. And then even after we filmed on the shorts, because why not? This is how you can make a career out of just like producing some fun ideas in the beginning of your well, journey. And so the platform is going to be out in soon. Now it's already out and you can apply for months now, but there is still no competition, active competition going on. We've been postponing that for long, but now everything's together already, so not much to wait for. So yeah, we're now also going to talk about not just our experiences together with Morgan and how like we made shorts, no budget, low budget short films together, but how we can help projects of similar kind to be shown like in movie theaters, and to be financed for further development. So let's get into it.
Let's get into
What what kind of experience we have in film premieres?
Well,
And
of course, our 3 or 4 main experiences were all quite rushed, with the editing process happening that morning. So I suppose our biggest memory together is trying to patch up all the gaps in our film score.
yeah, well, so yeah, with no budget, low budget productions, you probably have like, I mean, we talked about this in an episode like before this. I'm not sure which. that if you have a close deadline, like you only have a week to make a short film, or 3 weeks, and eventually you only spend like a week on the shooting and the production. It's good to have the deadline, because that makes you have like creative boundaries. You have to make creative choices, and there it usually is something not that like grandiose. You don't overthink what you're doing. You don't take it as something huge that will be so meaningful and important, like artistically. So you have the the experimental value to it. And so having a deadline this close, like even if it's 3 weeks away from the beginning of the ideation phase, uh, there you don't really have the time to edit the thing. Like usually you only have like a couple of days left before having the deadline to have the premiere for the movie. And this is what we had lots of experience with through the years with Morgan, with like 4 movies for now. Every project we've been on, we had 3 weeks to produce a movie. We've done several, and it was always like minutes before the premiere we still made changes in it. We were running around with the digital copies to put it on the projector, to set it up. It's not working. We have to go back. We have to dig again and stuff. So yeah.
Yes, and lots of losing files and losing translations for subtitle.
And yeah, the subtitles are always so what's interesting to me is that, well, with these short films, which are like the ones that you make in the beginning of your career, if you have any, with which you experiment, these, you never know if they're actually good or not, because you don't have the time to really prepare for them. You don't have the time to spend with thinking about the story, thinking about the relevance, thinking about the context, and how you position the film and the story. And most importantly, what we've talked about in the ideation phase episode, you never know if you mock the people around you enough that they are biased to tell you whether the film was good enough or not. And so the funniest aspect of having these premieres is that you, even though you have it done, and you're relieved that you finished it on time or not, you can't really like have a fair judgment afterwards. You have to wait years and look back at the time and rewatch the movies to finally understand and see it from the outside. And so it's really interesting how, like, we've had different results in premieres. We've had like cheering audiences. We've had like mute, completely like how do you say, like unempathetic audiences that like didn't really want to watch through the thing, and we also had harsh critics, and we also had like, no, I mean the lazy ones who don't really care, and we also had the harsh critics that were really offended by the movie, which is, I think, the greatest accomplishment that one could get. Like, if you can offend someone with a movie on a premiere, that's something that you achieved there. At least you could like get some emotions, some reactions out of them.
Yes,
yeah.
at least then they got a little emotionally invested in the plot.
Yeah, but what's interesting in the projection of a movie is that you have it done, so it's not an idea at that point, it's something that you actually made. So it's like a show off. You had like your arguments, you had your vision on what shouldn't be done and what should be done, how you you have your take there on some subject, and it's subjective as hell. and there at that point you have something in your hand, something physical, something that people can discuss, and there it's like you are in a constant or elongated debate, and there you have your speech, the movie itself, and then the others like continue on the arguing, the quarrel, and they like continue the discussion, and so with this, and the thing I mentioned, you never know whether you made a great argument, you never know where you got in that debate, and it's a complete mess usually.
Well, although in a way we could judge something from the premiere that we would do for the festival that we were doing this experimentation in Manet. Obviously, we would show it to the townspeople, and they would
Yeah,
either find it fascinating or alienating.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but still, with those were like mostly montages. Those weren't really arguments, I feel. So if you don't have a fiction, if you don't have an edited even documentary, but something with a narrative, something with dramaturgy, you don't really have the argument made. I mean, yeah, the only argument you make with a montage and a marketing reel is, well, whether you're professional enough to make it or not. But so I mean, topic wise, theme wise, the arguments you have with the fiction, what we've had with the We Only Had the Worldview, the Kitchen Wars movie, where we mocked on like the politically correct approach of basically identity politics and expectation of principles on others, from others. That was an argument made, a critique from the left, so to say, on identity politics, and so there on the premiere it was like a reveal. Nobody knows until you project the movie. Only those that were in the editing room until the last minute what like it got to be, whether it's watchable at all, and whether it's coherent and you can understand it, and in the best case whether it has some reactions, it gets you to feel something. And so with that, when we projected that one, I was in a group of those that like saw a movie we've made the previous year, and were in that one, and they were very they were critical. They wanted to see something better or nothing at all, and they were very content. But then those people that were mocked in the movie, they just left during the premiere, and still, like years later, when we like this year in August, when we had my script that was cancelled, on that meeting we came back to the premiere experiences, the trauma of the premiere for those that were mocked, and they mentioned that this movie, even though it's like existence, it's been there for 2 years, should be cancelled, should be prohibited to be projected, because it's offensive to some people of our community, which was directly like connecting it back to the premiere. A premiere can be traumatizing for the people that see the movie for the first time and the argument made for the first time. And so there is this term in Greek, like Socrates debate style, that which is called enargia, enargia, which is like coloring, toning a story, putting in adverbs and adjectives, and making it so colorful that the argument doesn't matter anymore. If it's colorful enough, it's believable enough, and there the others are like stunned. They can't really continue on arguing. And so I feel like
Oh,
when
you mean the sophistry
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
some? Yes.
exactly. And so uh even though even when a movie is like, I know, if its subjectivity is like vague, it's a point, the point that it makes is incorrect or not like depthy enough, there you still have that like anarchia, you still have that toning, and there the others that were like offended by it, they like, I mean, realistically, there are people that get offended by it. They feel like I feel they have no chance to argue there because they don't have the possibility, they don't have the tools to make that colorful of an argument, even though the film was vague. Uh,
Yes, well, I mean, I believe that, especially in the case of the kitchen wars being uh, ad hocly cancelled, maybe we could say, um, by even people who were a part of the filming process of it,
yeah, yeah,
that year later, they they also seem to have forgotten that the mockery was not on the subject or the elusive kitchen master or chef, but on the situation.
yeah. Well, so there we go. But then, so we had a movie just after that one that was like 35 minutes long. We talked about this as well in the previous episodes, which was like my first like directorial trial on directing a drama, and well, it didn't work out that well. Writing and directing a drama, and in English, which was like a huge a difficulty at the time, and uh, it didn't work out well. But there, I wasn't even there in the premiere. I just finished editing like from abroad. Like I already left France. I was in Hungary. I had like it as a secondary task, but I wanted to finish it until the premiere date. And so I sent the movie, but I never seen the reactions. I only heard them like half a year later in arguments, debating whether it was worth it to project the movie for 30 minutes there, boring everyone in the audience and stuff. So you also have that one. You have to be
It
there.
was definitely lucky that it was the last of the movies that we showed that evening.
But yeah, so there are different aspects to whether you have to be there on a premiere, you have to be there on a projection, what type of argument you make finally with a finished product, how it like can be a traumatic experience. So there's lots to premieres, but I think there's lots to audiences as well. So it matters a lot who are the people watching it. So whether you have the film crew there and it's an in-house projection, or whether you have outside audiences, who are those audiences? Whether you actually manage to show something that has like a context that everyone can understand. Because well, sometimes with shorts of this kind, you fall into the trap of well of not being able to write a story that explains the context enough. We usually have the problem, I mean, myself as well, with the objects in the movie, the subjects in the movie. You have to name them, but do they remember the names? Even if in a short, you don't have that capacity for the audience to remember every name for every detail, for every location, for every character. So even that context, but the larger context, the genre elements, and all that, you have to make sure you get the context right. And I find with my experience with my movies that I projected, I never managed to get the contextual like explanation right, and I felt like the audience never really understood what they saw there. They only had like some expressions there on the canvas, but nothing else.
Yes. Yeah, well, I suppose it would be good to think about the other movies that were going on in the same time frame. I remember that in the August project of 2024, there were quite a few movies that we were trying to make. Um, and how do you think that those ones fared?
Well,
Seeing them afterward.
yeah. I mean, that exactly when you can make the arguments there. I mean, you see the end result. I felt like competing with movies done in the same time frame for the same time deadline with the same context, because it mostly like they react to where they are projected. They react to the dilemmas of an artist, the community, and the experiences that they have together. And so I felt like what we talked about on the debate episode and the context, they usually, and I find this argument really true, they made the film for the sake of making a film. And I feel like most of the time, and this is the laziness I find in the artistry, they hate to spend time on contextual reflections, on awareness of what's discussed there. And their films, and I'm talking about like a undefined subject, but most of the our generation's short films, they are about nothing. They are about some ideas that, even when they're clearly presented, they don't really have any new to add. They don't really have anything to say. I feel they are just movies to show that they're able to make movies, to for the actors to be in them, for the directors to direct finally, for the writers to, well, they've written one script, one draft, and they want it already to be made, so to get made. I feel like most of the time this is what you see, and this is what you see on film festivals as well. So short film festivals are full of these university exam film projections are full of these. You have these films that are made for the sake of producing a film, but nothing else, nothing to say story wise.
Hmm. Well, it's like your meditation on the Nike Air boots.
Of meta modern, we're getting back to.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so there is this Jameson image who wrote a lot on Jameson on postmodernism, and how it compares to avant-garde, the way that like Andy Warhol's like prints of like two-dimensional prints of boots that shoes that he designed as a shoe designer, and later used the same samples for his silk screens. How this compared to the painting of Van Gogh on the peasants' shoes in the mud, and in the like with all the dirt on it, and the feeling of rocks under it, and all the difficulty of not having a sole in under your feet, and all the scratches and all the ones that you get. Compare that to the two-dimensional, not even existent, like drafts for shoes, that have no direct like connection to reality. And so metamodernism was connected to this, and in the metamodernism, the book by the authors, by the editors, through another image um, of a Nike Air that is like your feet not only are not touching the ground, but they have the air, like Nike Air. There is a layer of air in the bottom, in the sole of a shoe, and even then, the people now in our contemporary, with our contemporary mindsets, have the need to have something put there, to have a soul that has a texture. Even if you are lifted from the ground, there has to be something that you feel under your foot, and that has to have some like imitation, some simulacra of rocks or something, but nothing directly like inspired by nature. Something completely imaginative, something completely new, put there for the sake of feeling something, not only the air and your feet lifted. And so that image is how the contemporary postmodern compares to the Van Gogh in the avant-garde, and to Andy Warhol in the postmodernism. I mean, not directly, because it's like Andy Warhol is like late avant-garde, late modernism, but the idea is kind of the same. And so
Yes.
yeah, it's interesting, but I'm not sure where you linked that one in the story.
Oh yes, well, I mean, we often would talk about that in conjunction with the movie making process, and well, what we were doing at the time. And you you say that lots of these uh, filmmakers in our generation are just making a movie to make a movie because they have the equipment finally, and then the plot and the message that they're trying to film gets lost somewhere, if there's one at all.
Uh-huh. Well, it depends, but I understand your point. But at the same time, so I've been in a few films. I've been basically in every position you can be on in a short film like this, and I feel like uh, the next level, the next step I should take is now finally just tell a story. Don't mind that you have the opportunity there and then to produce something, anything. Take it as an opportunity to tell a story, not as an opportunity to make a film. Take it as an opportunity to express the feeling of our generation, not necessarily through rational, like dialogue heavy film, but through a story expressed through the medium of film. A story not necessarily about a concrete dilemma, but a feeling that is a position, a subjective point of view in a dilemma. And so I feel like my next step would be to finally, after all the premieres that we've had, focus on a story that has that. And I feel like uh, that is the point where, even though you have a short deadline, you have to have that reflection before for months. You have to have previous drafts for months. You have to think about, to contemplate on a material, on a dilemma that you have, and only spend the time of that short period of producing the movie, of developing it, of preparing it, trying to find a way to express the dilemma that you already have, I think.
Yes.
So I'm contradicting myself in the previous argument, but uh, um, still good to have a deadline to get things made and not too overcomplicated. Yeah. Uh, Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I would agree with that. I believe that, especially in your case, where you're now looking for a very good story,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that would mean, you need time to find that kind of plot, or meditate on what you've already experienced, and see what meaning you can gather from it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So the question here is, so you have, let's say you have that like film made, a short film made. You had that experiment, and so where do you position that? Where do you position that milestone, that achievement of having a short film done? Because I think this is a point where, I mean, I grew up on like rewatching all the documentaries on the Beatles and on 9/11, which is a nice thing to have as a like a double feature, because the main dilemmas I felt for me in life were, okay, where do we live, what is the problem, and how could catastrophes like these happen, and why are we here, and what can we do with all of this, how can we express, what is expression, what is fame, and how do we cope with all the traumas that we have. And so the two, and I know it's grandiose for a scope, but stick with me. I feel like what we have here now today, as a postmodern generation or a post-postmodern generation, is to go back to the beginning of how a workshop is, of how having the work, the material there, and nothing else. No fame, no need for fame, no like background talks, not pursuing some profession just to be there in the spotlight after, not pursuing to have a film career just to get an Oscar in at the end, and so all of this. I feel like what we should do, and I have that with all the after watching all the documentaries on Beatles and how they worked, they eventually they were just a group that liked to produce music in a studio, and they had fun for days and weeks and months just sitting there and mocking some ideas, having some rough ideas on melodies and on lyrics, and putting overdubbing it and finding new melodies, finding new additions to them, trying new instruments, and just having that creative experimentation. And so I feel like our generation has mostly forgotten that, and our generation is mostly in any game, in any profession, just to get into the spotlight. And I think that that's the one that kills it. And when we position these short films, that makes a difference. What do you want to do? Do you spend your time on experimenting and understanding where we are as a generation and where you are as a person, or you are thinking that of a milestone, and thereafter you're gonna want to be on the festivals, you want to be a huge star, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So what do you think?
you're always looking forward and not enjoying where you are, I suppose. And yeah, I feel like, in a way, that, well, quite quite succinctly, what you're saying is that we've lost the freedom of creativity, and just to be inspired by something that we want to do.
Yeah. And so the other thing with 9/11, and this is what another interesting thing I found, I always like stunned me how the Americans seemingly uh, uh, in the years after 9/11, I mean, they felt like political correctness had another a golden age there, because there they had a taboo that they felt like they shouldn't talk about. And it always stunned me how, like, in documentaries, they're very, very cautious not to show details, to idolize bits and how the people were and how it happened, and to make it big. And so two things I found strange was that one is that they have these taboos that they don't want to talk about, like, rawly, and they had the extreme coverage on one event, and you could look at it from many different angles. And so I find the same scenario on anything coming after in our contemporary, like, media era, of let there be anything happening in a political or like boulevard like pop culture scheme. There you have, like, events that are bagatelle, like minor events that are made so huge. There are reviewed and revised and revisited from many different angles. You have many different reactions, many different takes, and yet there is that taboo every time. Like, you still don't talk about that one detail. You still don't talk about the elephant in the room. You just color it and color it and color it, and you have all these mass reactions of millions of people, and you still don't talk about that big thing that is behind it. And so I feel like this is what we should talk about. This is the topic. This is the debate. Anything happening, there's always a taboo behind. Why and how could that happen? Why is it a scandal? Why are we surprised? Why does it affect us that much that we talk about these events and these scandals and these happenings? Let them be political or cultural. Why? And so I feel like the why is not asked, like, often enough. It's not the topic of our discussions often enough. We're discussing our emotions, direct emotions about things, but I feel like it's not enough, and the real problems are not addressed. So
Yes,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure about the 9/11 thing, but I mean, maybe uh, because I haven't haven't looked at it very deeply, but yeah, it does seem that people are cautious, and maybe this is still a holdover from uh, our topics on wokeism as well, where no one really wants to address the let's say academically problematic idea in the room. Um, I don't know. Also, like, so far as like shallow, uninspired writing or producing is concerned, like we've got this era that we're in now where Hollywood can only really remake the movies that they've already made in some kind of different form of or another,
Yeah.
and that kind of speaks to what you were saying about, like, well, we don't have anything to say anymore. Well, they feel like they don't have anything to say anymore, and at the
Well,
same time we've
yeah.
got the writers strike, and everyone's worrying about AI taking their jobs, and it's like, well, you haven't made anything new in about 10 years now.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah. I mean, it's at the same time it's about the industry. So they don't take risks in our current like state of filmmaking. They don't take risks in financing new people in the industry, new kind of genres, new interpretations, new takes. They are into remakes because we're in a kind of recession. They have to make sure that they stay alive, and that they like produce enough revenue that they can pay back the shareholders, or I don't know, the investors. And so I feel like that's one thing for the like the biggest players in the industry. But in my case, in Hungary, it's the same for state funding. It's the same for the smallest film production companies. They don't want to take risks, and somehow it's just a worldwide phenomenon that people feel like they can't take risks, and now and for these decades, and that they only those get to make independent films, art house films that finance them their own things, that find the people that most often work for free, and they can spend their like collective budget from their own pockets on the absolute necessities, on the props, on the locations, on some actors that they really want to get, but nothing else. And I feel like the art house in Eastern Europe, at least in the contemporary filmmaking era, is only that. And all the rest is production companies, state funding, and the biggest players on the planet not wanting to take risks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that the same thing though as sacrificing or not even attempting some kind of creative endeavor?
Well, you never know.
Because
Yeah.
the risk of any kind of art is that no one's going to enjoy it, and
Well, I
and then
think
it'll
that's
flop for a while.
yeah. I think that's least of the risk. I mean, that's the risk for the ego of the people in the creating department. But I feel like it's a financial risk for those that invest, and well, that's the only kind of risk there is. So I feel like we are lazy enough as a society of today, anywhere in the world, not wanting to rewrite the rules of, okay, financially it's not worth it, so we do it otherwise. We finance it on our own. We find channels to of distribution to get the films to the people, not through the conservative studio connected, state connected movie theaters, but through your own websites of streaming, through YouTube, through democratized platforms. And so I feel like we are lazy, not like taking taking advantage of all these things, all these horizontal structures that we have today. And I talk about this often, but like film, like the celluloid, contrasted with the video, is like something very expensive contrasted to something cheaper. Uh, uh, Streaming compared to cinema is the same in distribution. Something very expensive and network heavy that you have to have the connections to, and streaming very affordable. Anyone can make a website. Anyone can show their movies in a social media. Streaming is not only Netflix; it's YouTube as well. And now I feel like AI is kind of the same, or at least similar thing. The cost of a crew, the cost of having the network where you can just present an idea and that's it, and there you can make a movie. And those that don't have the network and are not in high profile positions, when they have even better ideas, more complex ideas, they just don't have the resources to show it in a way, in a format that the studio heads understand, and so they don't get to make the movies. But now that we have AI, you can draft anything. You can put together complete ideas, and very believably, and with the effects almost like comparable to the end result of a film. You can show your drafts, you can show your ideas, you can present like digestible material already to convince the industry heads to invest in your better idea than of those people that are high profile but don't even spend the time to develop them before deciding to make the movie. So I feel like we're lazy if we don't recognize that film as a medium is democratized, and all the panic of Hollywood and all the panic of filmmakers like holding on to even the celluloid of film, and holding on to movie theaters, and holding on to non-AI filmmaking is all about wanting to keep the power structures as the power dynamics as they are.
Keep
And
the
I mean,
status quo.
yeah, exactly. And why do the young generation, why does our generation contribute to all that? I mean, we could just produce, we could just share, we could just like take the money ourselves for projecting movies on our sites. I mean, this is what we should do. And so one interesting thing was that, obviously I'm talking about, like, in a parenthesis, in a superposition, about Near-Balkan as well. This was our idea, to produce a platform where all of these can be shown for anyone, for the entry level filmmakers, for those that don't have the network, that don't have the financing. We could project the movie in on the streaming service, and generate revenue for you, the filmmaker. We could show the ideas and get a budget for you, the filmmaker, get a future audience for you, the filmmaker, and all of that, without all the power dynamics, and without all the, I know, discrimination of you get to make a movie because we know you enough, and all the nepotism, and so all of this put aside, democratized, just make movies for the sake of equality. And so it's interesting, when in Hungary I went to film festivals, I went to heads of film festivals, I presented the idea. They felt like, no, I mean, it's not going to succeed. It's I mean, we still haven't succeeded, we never know, but how can you, like, approach an idea like this? Like, it's not going to succeed, and anyways it's taking away the resources and the focus from the industry. And I mean, what industry? I'm also part of the industry. If I make movies, what are we talking about? The industry that they have, with the current companies, with the current studio heads, with the current money flow. Yeah, obviously. But I felt like we got lots of rejections because the current scene just wants to hold on to their positions in it, and anyone that buys tickets goes to these festivals, and I do it myself. But we partially contribute to keeping this system going and live, and so I feel like we should just do it on our own.
Find your own way to the next milestone or the next self-fulfilling project.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so it's always a question, if you want to produce movies for the sake of telling stories and not for the sake of taking career steps and milestones, for the prize and for the fame, uh, there is still a question of going to festivals, because film festivals are marketplaces. You not only get to show your short films, which are pilots basically for feature films and funding for that, but you also get to share like ideas, pitch your movie ideas, find producers, find other filmmakers, and to connect. And there's always this question of, okay, is it worth it for me to, as like 22 years of age, wanting to film movies, to go to festivals, and then which festivals? Short film festivals, international, national, like municipal events, or private events or state events, or what? Should I go to Cannes? Should I go to Berlin? Should I go to Toronto? Or should I go to online festivals? There is this site called Film Freeway, which democratized, like opened the platform for applying to the mid-range festivals for any filmmaker. So you can like pay your entry fee and upload your movie and take a chance. So there's always this question whether it's identity politics to do all that, or whether if you just want to share your story and want people to find it, you should do that anyway. And so it's a difficult question because I think most of the people there obviously are like there for their own image, and most of the films that you're competing with are like technically great but have no story whatsoever. I mean, the whole industry is full of these. But I feel like applying and putting in your movies as entries to these festivals is important. And even if you are not sure of yourself and what you've made, it's very important to just pay a few like tens of euros, of dollars, and just invest in your film, your vision, your storytelling getting to other people, because this is a way you're gonna approach them, and they're gonna approach you if there are connections to be made, if there are other projects that they might involve you in, and not leaving out the audience. This is where your first audience will find you. This is where your first uh, uh, actually curious audience who pay like the ticket prices to see movies on festivals will see your movie, an honest reaction on the relevance of the story that you told. And so it's really difficult to find these festivals, but with Near-Balkan we also aim to help, to schedule, to put on a calendar all the important events for starting out filmmakers on European level, which are the festivals, short film festivals that you could apply without anything. Like you don't need to have like a recommendation. You don't need to have like opening weekends and projecting like projection periods in movie theaters. You make your movie and you upload, and so I feel like this needs to be made, this needs to have a higher um, mm, a more widespread attention on how is there a general way to get to these festivals, because I think we lose a great deal of ideas and movies that are uploaded to YouTube, which are also a great way to make it to your audience. But most of the time, those are not like seen by the algorithm. You don't get to show it to many people. Only like tens of viewers you get, and it's just a waste of effort. But there is still a pathway where you can find the people uh, uh, um, who can spread your message and distribute your film enough to for it to get to audiences.
And
So yeah,
that's exactly what you hope to be as well.
well,
Well, a way to help network and distribute
yeah, exactly. I
at
mean,
least
we
at
are
least the ideas. Yeah.
the idea, yeah, but no. So with the films that we aim to get made on Near-Balkan and through the competitions and the premieres that we will host are pilots. All these movies are pilots, so we still are in the game of taking these ideas around and bringing them to festivals ourselves, lifting the weight of applying to all of these, and paying the fees of all of these for those that win the idea quality competitions, and to help these filmmakers get their voices heard. So yeah, exactly. This is our aim as well. And also funding. So it's an interesting topic of how state level fundings, at least in Eastern Europe, and European level fundings are connected to like already existing industry players. For the like entry level funding for short films to get like budgets is in an international level is the European Union's Creative Media Europe slate or mini slate funding packages, which are like grants that you can apply for, like 60,000 euros, which is a great deal of money, but you can't apply just by one short film or one feature. You have to have at least, for a mini slate even, 3 to 5 short films in a package altogether, and you have to already have a background for the production company applying of at least one feature film projected in at least 3 movie theaters for a month, or having it projected on different networks, television networks. So you can't really apply for these as just like a project company. You can't say that, okay, I have I know I make a movie, Apple Juice, and you can't have Apple Juice Limited just applying for Creative Media Europe funding with a script and all that. You have to have a background, a precedent of you producing a film financially, and you only get to have like 70% of your budget covered through European funding, and you still have to find the rest through other sources. So it's basically impossible for entry level filmmakers to finance their own productions. The financing system, the economy is against us in every way possible. So we have to join forces, and I feel like without like jumping out of a creative position, which I were in as a screenwriter and a director, I have to help, and we have to help each other in producing, in building the platforms, in helping to write all the bureaucratic parts for financing and all these applications for grants and for festivals for others, because otherwise the economy, the industry is against us, and we will never get to make these films. And now that we have the capacity to have the video cameras, to have the platforms, to have social media, and to have AI to draft all of this, I think we just have to help each other, and this is the perfect time to start doing that.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah. And
Especially to get that slate going.
yeah, to get this, yeah, exactly. So that's the aim, and I mean, anyone who hears this, go to near-balkan.com and wait for the sites to have a public competition in just, I mean, it's days away, and submit your ideas, uh, and compete, because you have nothing to lose, and we're all about to help you. We don't make much of a profit on this. It's all going in your productions, it's all going in funding your premiere projections, in funding your marketing budget for entering these festivals, in entering these grants. So we just have to join forces all over Europe. And I'm studying here in Marseille. I have to convince everyone. It's so unbelievable that we just want to help each other. But I mean, we have no other option but to help each other and do it together, and to sacrifice these directorial positions, the screenwriting positions, and just produce others' movies, because no one will get through the filter if we're not like taking others material through. So I
Yes,
think
yeah,
it's
well,
yeah.
instead of competing entirely, we compete collaboratively.
Yeah. And so I feel desperate to put it frankly. I don't know if our idea is gonna succeed, but I mean it's the short term. I feel desperate whether we can actually get through these filters. I feel desperate that there might not be enough people. There might not be enough collaborative people who think collectively and less individually on building their image and getting those prizes, awards for themselves only, and not focusing on the material. I feel like my mates, I half of them are full of these individualists, and I mean, half of them are individualists. Half of them would kill to get their names on covers in the spotlight, and they take these opportunities and just kick everyone out of decision making and of 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 the opportunities and take those for themselves just to produce something, no matter the story, no matter the material, just them in the directorial positions. And I just I feel desperate that we're not going to succeed because of all of these people and because of individualism still at its prime. And yeah, so I really hope that we get to change this. That our generation will get to change this. I'm not sure, really.
Well, no, I mean, I feel like you're doing a lot with you and everyone at Near-Balkan, really, as much as possible. When I met you, you were already starting to make this website network for people, and it's been what, it's been about 3 years in the making, and we've finally gotten to do our podcast, to get it out
Yeah,
there.
well, sure.
And yeah, I feel like especially because you're in Europe, and you can spread the idea around a little bit more actively, uh, that you can find the people who need the help, and they'll support it when they see what happens.
Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope so. I mean, there are still some concerns for filmmakers. They fear that their ideas are going to be stolen, and I mean, who cares? And like this is my best answer to that. We are building a guild. We are building this like closed circle of policing where the ideas are stolen, and we are trying to like stamp it out there. This is the time you uploaded an idea, and this was your idea, and this is how you've done it. But I mean, if you don't try, you'll never succeed. You have to compete. You have to share. You have to pitch. You have to take your chances and risk your idea, like partially
No, you
getting
have to be
heard.
vulnerable.
Yeah. And
Be
so this is
vulnerable with
one.
your idea.
Yeah, yeah. But this is one, and the other one is that people don't really want to collaborate in their ideas. People don't really take critique that well. They don't want to ask questions openly because it exposes them. Again, vulnerability. They fear showing their weak points in like professionally. When you're a writer, there are so many other departments. You don't know everything about direction, about acting, about like scenography, sound design, and cinematography. You have to put those doubts out for debate because other people will join you through these, not just the fame and the looks of your project, but with the creative dilemmas that you can't solve yourself. And I feel like these two are the weakest points in our idea. People fear plagiarism, and they don't want to share, and they fear that they are shown vulnerable and they're exposed with their weaknesses, which I think are the best things to get people on board. But who knows? Who knows? I think we need to mature here. We need to find a way to be more of adults, and to understand the collective possibilities, and the possibilities that we only have collectively to share and to expose, because otherwise I don't think we'll ever get through. And I feel currently we are not mature enough for this, so we need to urge sharing.
Well, we've got some growing up to do then, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But I mean, Morgan, we've covered in 6 episodes of a podcast the making of anyone's first short films, from idea through preparation, through contextualization, screenwriting, casting, filming, editing, premiering, and all the afterlife and perspectives. So I think, well, it was a great series, and then I had fun with you. I
Oh,
hope you had
I'm
too.
so glad that yeah, it was the best for me too, especially just to have another excuse to talk with my dear friend.
For me too, actually. That was the main reason we started all of this. But luckily, we found a great topic, and hopefully,
Yeah,
we'll
well,
find better ones. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, well, we should always keep the conversation going, and uh, if ever you would like to revisit the topic, we can make a reunion episode in a couple
Oh,
of
well,
years' time.
we'll see. We'll see how we advance by then with the project, and with all the with culture altogether. Whether we'll go through a third world war, or who knows what's going to happen in 2 years' time, but we can surely revisit.
Well, if if there is little more than this one success, I think it's still a great one that that Laurent has managed to foster a group of ragtag allies from across the world.
Yeah, well, shout out to Laurent and Euroculture, and the European Union for the Erasmus program of non-formal education, funding all these youth mobilities, artistic residencies, where we got to make 4 years in 3 week long projects. These we got to have these debates, and we got to make the films, and uh, to just consider and try out and experiment with all these possibilities artistically. I mean, yeah, if we don't succeed in anything ourselves, Laurent and all the participants, our network is already a success. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yes,
Well,
yeah, indeed.
I hope the Hungarian national agency will finally, for our 5th trial, will fund us, because we've been applying for a grant of the same kind of project, and we're just so, I think, politically misaligned. I mean, in Hungary, I think it's fair to say everything's political, and everything's over politicized. So if we're not aligned with the government, I think it's difficult to get funding. But I hope we will, for the 5th trial, we get to have similar kinds of mobilities, and with Near-Balkan to give an opportunity to students and people in their 20s all over Europe, all around Europe, to get together for a few weeks' time to produce movies, to debate on current contemporary political topics and all that. Let's hope for the best.
Yeah, long may it last, and long may it continue to grow in a good direction.
Yeah. Well, this has been Seen How Many, and well, we'll try to find an idea for another podcast. But thank you for all the people watching through all of this, and for all those people that only watched a few episodes or one or just a few minutes. I mean, I hope we hope we could give you some new information, some new perspectives, and hope to join you in your ideas and film development processes. So, well, see you next time, I guess.
I hope nothing but the same.
Okay, then. It's the end.
And that is our scene.